And Chaz Ellis once again, and I'm live. What's up, good people? I'm going live. I'm gonna talk about a whole lot of stuff today, but I want y'all to give me your shout outs. You know how we do. Let me know when you in the building. I'm gonna talk about all kind of stuff tonight. Some things that's going on in the news. We're gonna talk about just different things, life associated. You know how we do. YouTube, what's up? Everybody give me a shout out. Once you get inside the chat, make sure you give me a shout out. Come on to the platform, to the young platform. You know how we do it. You know how we do. Make sure you like as soon as you get on. You know how that is. Make sure you like, show me some love in the chat box. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet for whatever reason, make sure you do so. So today we're going to be talking about a few different things. We're going to talk about the thing everybody talk about right now, Ime Udoka, Boston Celtics head coach. Got a little bit of trouble, got suspended. Trying to have a little bit too much fun at work. You know what I'm saying? Trying to have a little too much fun at work. Got suspended. We're also going to talk about Omarion and his streak of being unbothered and why people don't believe him that he's really unbothered. And we're also going to talk about Halle Bailey as the Little Mermaid. Some people have beef with Halle Bailey as the Little Mermaid. We're going to talk about that though. Once you get on to the live, make sure you shout out to your man Chaz Ellis one time. Say what's up to me. You know what I mean? Don't just get on the live, don't even say nothing. It's like come to the crib, don't even speak. Just walk by, put your feet on the table, just don't even say nothing to me. Go in the refrigerator, get you a little malt liquor. Once you get on the live, make sure you say what's up to me. Also, hit that like button. It don't cost nothing to hit the like button. What's up, Kelly? Once you get on, also, if you say what's up to me, tell me where you from, too. If I hadn't seen you on here a lot of times, let me know where you from. You know how it is. I'll be liking to know things. What's up, Lion? I hadn't seen you while you changed your little profile, John, and everything. What's up, Wahid? I'm good. Okay, from Dallas. Martha, what's up? Where you from? Maryland, Massachusetts? Okay, we got some folks know me in the comment section as much. That's dope. Everybody make sure you hit that like button. As soon as you get on here, hit the like button. Okay, you here to talk about the Celtics? All right. I knew the Boston people were going to be like, yeah, we got to get back to the finals. We just got to the finals again. We can't take this. No. We don't want no shakeups. We trying to get back. I feel you, man. When you a real fan of a team, I'm a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, as everybody knows already. Since birth. Not since LeBron came along. Since birth. I was born in Canton, Ohio, like everybody probably already knows, but family members played for the team too. So when your team start going, especially if it's been a long time, and your team start rolling, you don't want nothing to mess it up. You like, look, I don't care what they did. We gotta keep it rolling. We gotta keep making it back. And y'all team y'all used to getting rings. See, Cleveland, I ain't gonna lie to you. Till LeBron came, it's been some years where we thought maybe, but till LeBron came along, we wasn't like, yo, we go get a ring, As a matter of fact, before LeBron came along, we hadn't won a ring in anything, or I won a championship in anything in my lifetime. So LeBron changed all that, so he good money with us forever for that. Who else we got? Tell us where you from. Where you from? All right. Now, we're going to go in order here. We're going to talk about a couple different things. The first thing I'm going to talk about today is Omarion. And before we do, let's get a poll going. Do you think that it is okay to date one of your ex's friends? All right, so we're going to get a poll going and see what we think about that, yes or no. Do you think it's okay to date one of your ex's friends? Now, I was watching The Breakfast Club, and for people who don't know about this Omarion situation, apparently he was dating, he was in a relationship with this lady, April Jones, which really doesn't matter, but He was in a relationship with April Jones. They break up for whatever reason. April then gets with one of his bandmates. Y'all know Omarion, the band is B2K. Y'all might, for some of y'all who are familiar, some of y'all may not be. But also Omarion, he's with April Jones. They end up breaking up. Then she gets with one of his bandmates. You know, one of the guys that he was friends with, that he grew up with. And, you know, that's where he kind of gets the whole unbothered thing from. People talking about, you know, how do you feel, Omarion? He's like, you know, hey, it is what it is. And this is one of those things where when Omarion says, I'm unbothered by this, a lot of people don't want to believe him. Which, you know, I get it, because a lot of people are like, how does this not really bother you? And I think people don't know the difference between thinking something is wrong and being bothered by it. Bothered is when it keep you up at night. Bothered is when it makes it to where you don't have the ability to feel good or function because this is happening. Thinking that something is wrong or thinking that something is wrong with what happened isn't the same thing as being bothered. You know, it's not the same thing as being bothered. It's more like, hey, this happened. I'm upset about it. At first, you know, I felt some type of way, but it ain't really messing up my day. I'm not allowing this to ruin my day. And I think about that. The reason why Omarion or anybody could get over something like that, most of the time is because you really don't think that much of the person anyway. And I think whenever you deal with somebody and they do something like that, it really makes you think less of them. So, okay, Lion says, there are so many people out there you can date. Why pick a childhood friend? I get that. I think she wanted revenge. That's why she dated his friend. You know, and I think whenever somebody dates a friend, it's usually two reasons for it. If somebody dates the ex's friend, it's usually either they were already thinking about doing that and there was like some level of emotional cheating going on, or it's a revenge move. I think the revenge move is always stupid. And I tell people this all the time. You can't date or sleep with people for revenge. When you do that, it usually puts you in a situation where you feel stupid when the other person doesn't care the way you thought they would. It also puts a mark against you. Because here, I'm going to say this about me. For me, I'm not going to mess with somebody. Like if I break up with you, like say we're together, I break up with you. I'm not going to deal with any of your friends, not only because of you. It don't really got nothing to do with you. I'm not going to deal with your friends because I look at it like, this is your friend. If they're willing to deal with me after we're in a relationship, what does that say about them? And do I want to be connected to this person in a relationship? Do I want to get with a person who would do their friend like that? I see why me and you are beefing. We were together, we broke up. I see why we could be beefing. But this is your friend and somebody who claims to be friends with you. Somebody who only knows you because of me. Or only knows me because of you. You know what I mean? So why would I get with somebody who would date a friend's ex? Even if it's for a short period of time, even if I'm just smashing, I gotta look at it like, you seem a little bit snakish. So what would you do to me? And I look at that with anybody. Like if somebody like, oh yeah, let's double cross this person together. I always look at that person like, so you want to double cross them. What happens when you feel like you could benefit from doing something like that to me? I can't even get mad. You see what I'm saying? Like if you rob somebody else and then you rob me the next day, like you rob one of my other friends, then you rob me the next day. If I knew about it and I still stayed cool with you, I can't even get mad. I gotta eat that. Really? I gotta be like, man, I can't be mad. You cannot be mad when somebody does something to you that they did to somebody else. So, and then it's like this. So say me and the friend get together. You gotta take things, you gotta walk them completely. Right? Say we get together. Say we hit it off and we end up getting together. And then you end up smashing one of my friends. I can't really get mad. I did that, so I clearly condone that behavior. I can't really get mad. And that's why I don't do stuff like that. Let's go to the comments. What do you guys think about it? Would you, let's get in the comment section also and tell me what you think. Like, would you date somebody's, a friend, a boyfriend or girlfriend's ex, an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend's friend? People usually prefer dating someone who is in their close or same circle, very lazy to get out and find someone else. Yeah, you know, a lot of people do like doing that. I don't. But a lot of people do like doing that. I don't like dating somebody who's in an inner circle. Like, if I already know the group of friends, I have never been the type of person to date somebody in our group of friends. Like, so say it's like a large group of us, 15, 20 of us hang together. Even in a loose circle, I'm not dating nobody in the circle. I'm personally not. Now, to each their own. I'm personally not. Because what ends up happening is you start finding out a lot of stuff. A lot of times people like the person. Stuff like, you know, so it ends up with a lot of conflict. That's why it's something that I don't personally do. But I definitely agree with you that that's what a lot of people do. A lot of people are lazy, and that's why they do that. And some people are not even lazy. They just want somebody that they know is going to be at least somewhat cool. You know, like, hey, I know you. I've known you for a little bit of time. So I know you're at least not crazy. I know you at least didn't, you know, just get through doing 15 years in the pen on a manslaughter charge. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. At least you're somewhat vetted by the group. So that I do understand. Let's keep the likes going. We're going to keep going from subject to subject. I'll take some questions now. If anybody got questions, let's see, we got one. Can you please talk about violence in the black community? Is there any solution to this problem? And what is the cause of this violence? There is no violence in the black community any more than any other community. There's violence in the poor inner city communities. Think about it this way. Go to any middle class, upper middle class black neighborhood in America, because that's probably what you're talking about. Go to any middle class, upper middle class black neighborhood, affluent black neighborhood in America. You really don't see violence. So it's not a black or white issue. It's an issue of economics, racism, and a million other isms in this country. A lot of black people are locked out of the American dream. A lot of people have found themselves locked out of the American dream. So for that reason, you see and black people often live in the inner cities more so than the outskirts. So that really explains a lot of the violence that you see. Anytime you put people on top of each other and they live close to each other, you're going to see violence. Also, for a lot of people, you don't live in America, so you just really get hit with the media machine. And the media machine says black people cause violence towards each other and all that crap, which is a bunch of bull crap. I mean, people harm who's close to them, and people harm the people who look like them. You know, and that's regardless of race. If you go to any other country, wherever there's crime, they got huge crime rates in countries that don't even have any black people. So I don't think it's a racial issue, and I think the biggest problem with trying to solve the issue of crime and violence in America is that people try to attack it from a racial perspective rather than a socioeconomic perspective. And I think if you start facing it or dealing with it from that perspective, jobs, money, I think if you start working on that, changing some of the laws to where you're not spending so much time trying to enforce drug laws and other laws that don't really affect quality of life. I think if you start doing that, the violence would probably be done with by now, or at least quartered. So Laya says she wouldn't date anybody from the inner circle. It's too messy. Better to start over with a new circle. Yeah, I think it is too. You know, I think whenever you start dating an ex's friend, it becomes a situation where, first of all, you look like you're trying to be messy. You look like you're trying to be funny. And because of that, I think it just makes the situation even worse. It makes it, and you never know if you might want to get back with somebody. You never know. You know, once you date the friend, it's like, well, then where you go from there? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then what happens with, like, what type of person do you end up being to the group? Because I've seen people who date the group, and they've dated 4 or 5 people inside their friends group. I know people who do that. They've dated 4 or 5 people inside the friends group. So it's just weird. It's awkward. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, dang, which one are you with today? And everybody is their ex. The whole friends group is their ex. It kind of starts becoming weird. So, you know, something to think about. Okay, the next thing I'm going to go to is I'm going to talk about Ime Udoka and what's happened here with the Boston Celtics. He's been suspended for a year for what they considered inappropriate but consensual relationship that he had with a female coworker. He's the head coach of the Boston Celtics. They just went to the finals last season. You know, did a great job of coaching the team. Obviously, they went to the finals. It's one of those situations, though. I'm gonna be real with you. It seemed ridiculous to me. The suspension seemed ridiculous. People were even talking about why didn't they fire him. Nobody's talking about why didn't they fire her. Like, what's happening to the woman who got involved with this guy and had a relationship with him? I'm trying to figure out why they just suspended him for a year. If it was a consensual relationship, that means they both wanted to do it. So, and if it's against the rules for him, it's against the rules for her also. So that's throwing me off. I'm like, what's going on here? You know, why is she not getting fired? Why is she not in any trouble? And I haven't really heard that many people asking that question. And that's the thing. Like, it's always weird to me when I watch the news, or when I watch different stories, and I don't see people asking an obvious question. And I always think, well, this is the narrative that they're pushing. Because it's like, you know, the obvious question is, why is she not getting fired also? Which leads people to think that there's more to the story. But you're saying it's a consensual relationship. But then since he got fired, or he got suspended, which they may fire him ultimately, but he got suspended for a year, and she didn't have anything happen to her, it makes it seem like he did more than what you guys are talking about. If I was Ime Udoka, I'm going to be real with you. I would sue. And the reason why I would sue is because I would ask the question, how can I get a different punishment than someone else? That's sexist. Depending on the racial makeup, it could even be racist. Who knows? But what it is it's not right. It is not fair with the information that you've given us. Now, and the reason why I would sue if I was him is if I didn't do anything wrong to this person and it was a consensual relationship, I would sue because I say what you're doing implies that I did do something to this person. By you suspending me and not doing anything to them, it implies that the relationship was not consensual. It makes people start saying, man, maybe there's more to the story than people think. Maybe there's more to the story than what they're letting out. You know, it's kind of making Ime Udoka look a little crazy out here. Also, I noticed that a lot of people are saying Nia Long, you know, they're like, man, I can't believe he cheated on Nia Long. I always hate when people do that because it really makes it seem like there's some level that you're at that makes it to where you're just too good to get cheated on. So that everybody else that gets cheated on is not at any kind of level. It implies that like when you hold up a picture of Nia Long, you say, look, I can't believe he cheated on her. Like, what does that say about everybody else who gets cheated on? Oh, well, you must be ugly, or you must be less than. You know, those are two people who are on high levels themselves. I mean, it's not like dude was the janitor at the Wendy's. He's a coach of one of the most storied franchises in America. Basketball, football, whatever. The Boston Celtics are one of the most storied franchises in America. So I don't think it's really fair to be like, oh, well, I can't believe you cheated on Nia Long. How do you cheat on Nia Long? Dude, she's a person. You know, because what it does end up doing is it gives backlash to her ultimately, because in a little while, there's going to be people going, maybe Nia Long was doing this. Maybe Nia Long was doing that. Maybe Nia Long ain't what she cracked up to be. You know what I mean? Eventually, it starts becoming that where it starts end up being an indictment on Nia Long. So I hope we just don't, like, why is she even involved in the story? You know, I think people need to stop bringing her up. She ain't got nothing to do with it. Let her just do her thing. This between him, the Celtics, and whatever that chick's name was. I ain't even put her up. I agree, but he's the person in power, not her, so they expect much more. How do you know that he's the person in power? It says she was a colleague. I don't know where it said that she was a part, that he's in more power than her, that he has any more power than her. And I think that the issue that we have also with this whole suspending people or picking a side, if the person is not using their power to sleep with you, because we don't even know how long the relationship went on for. It could have went on when he was an assistant coach and she was because he just became a head coach. So what real power does he have as an assistant coach? Yes, if it was just against the organizational rules, they should have both been suspended. So definitely implies Udoka did something worse. Yeah, you know, to me, it looks like he did something worse. Which I don't know if that's the case or not. Maybe more story will come out and we'll figure out that he did do something worse. Or maybe the Celtics just unfair. China Tropic said, I heard they were engaged since 2015. He's been married since 2010 to Nia Long, so I don't know how they get engaged. Or that they were just dealing with each other since 2015. Somebody said it's pretty racist. Yeah, Boston Celtics fans have been known to be like some of the most racist. I'm just being real with you. You know, it's not me just saying it. Like I said, one of my family members used to play for the Cavs, and they used to say some crazy stuff back in the day. They used to say some crazy stuff. I don't even want to go into it, but they show out. All right, I'm taking questions. Anybody got questions for me? Let's see. We got. Do you think arranged marriage is a good thing? You know, I think it can be. I don't think there's a blanket system that works for marriage. So yeah, I think arranged marriage can be good. Sure. I don't think they're always good. I mean, sometimes, hell, they can be abusive. They can be a messed up situation. But sometimes they're really good because it depends on what they're doing. Because some arranged marriages really take place because they actually have families on both sides that family on both sides that help the people connect. And most of the time, to be real, your family, your friends, are people who are professionals at matchmaking. They usually know better what you should do in terms of who you should be with than you do. I'm just being real. Most of the time people are not very good at judging their own character, their own personality traits, and things of that nature. Most people struggle with that. Just being 100% real, most people struggle with that. So, I think it could definitely work out if you have if you have an arranged marriage. Now, the flip side of it is when you got family members who are just marrying you off for money, marrying you off for opportunities, marrying you off just to get you out their house, when they're not really taking your happiness or your long-term success seriously, and then it's probably not. Where to meet marriage-minded singles. I don't want to do online dating, and I don't go to the club anymore because there's no good men over there. Well, there's probably some good men at the club, but they're at the club, so they're probably wanting to have club fun, and you're at the club, so they're not searching for good women. You get what I'm saying? Like, you're probably, if you're a good woman, if you've ever been a good woman in the club, then there were good men in the club too. It's just 9 times out of 10, y'all ain't searching for each other at the time. Everybody just searching for a good time in the club. So you want to go somewhere where people are searching for more than a good time. If you want to get married, then you need to go to places that make sense in terms of getting married. And most of the time, that's going to be your churches, your synagogues, your mosques, other religious areas, because marriage as a religious ceremony is what you're most likely looking for. If you're looking for marriage as a business connection, it's going to be a lot harder for you to find somebody who wants to get married to you because the business is more beneficial most of the time, in America at least, more beneficial most of the time towards the woman. So you want to get with somebody who's probably in a religious space. And you also want to be places where you can show off that you would actually be a good wife to them. So, volunteering, that can help. Showing people that, hey, I do care about family. I do care about young people, kids. I'm a moral person. I'm a person who has a caring spirit. Those are places where you can do those types of things. If you're in those type of spaces, you're more likely to be able to show somebody what you're about. Sometimes you can go to business conferences and business events and things of that nature, and at least you can find people who are financially stable enough to marry somebody. But I would definitely say volunteering, religious structures, those types of places are where you're going to most likely find people who actually want to get married to somebody. Now, the competition in church is ridiculous, though. So you got to remember, it's going to be like 20 women in there and maybe 5 men. So, that could be rough. But that's where you're going to find most people who are trying to get married. What else we got? Hey, y'all start showing some love to the chat, man. We at 0 on the chat revenue. Like, nobody's showing love to the chat. Be an active participant, you know what I'm saying, in your own rescue. Yeah, I mean, if you had a bad experience with a church guy, you also got to look at, I'm going to be real with you also got to look at you and what you're doing. You don't want to do online. You got to be looking like you dated one church guy. You got to look at yourself and what you're doing also. Like, what were you doing when you were going to church too? You're not going to attract a good dude in church unless you have church tendencies too. I don't know what you do with your life and how you conduct yourself in public or how you conduct yourself online, how you conduct yourself in general. I don't know because I don't follow you around every day. But if you're going to go to church and find somebody in church that's going to actually be what you're looking for in terms of marriage, then you are going to have to be somebody who is going to be with that traditional type of relationship. You're going to have to be somebody who's wanting to, because marriage is a traditional concept. A lot of women talk to me about getting married all the time. Like, I want to get married. I want to be with somebody who's going to get married. And I'm like, do you really? Because if you want to be with somebody who's going to get married, who's going to be faithful in their marriage, if you want to get with somebody who's going to be married, who wants to be faithful in their marriage, who's going to act like their actual husband material, then you're going to have to be like, well, what's wife material to them? And am I conducting myself as wife material, not to me, to the person, the type of person that I say I want to be married to? If you want to be married to a dude that got a whole bunch of women that he's talking to, do you got a whole bunch of male friends that you talk to? If you want a dude that ain't out here liking pictures on the gram, are you putting up crazy ass pictures on the gram for people to like? If you want a dude that's going to take some type of leadership in your household, are you somebody who takes leadership? If you're not any of those things, that doesn't mean you can't find a man, but stop trying to find a traditional type of relationship. Get you a little relationship where y'all just doing y'all own thing and making your own rules as you go along. All right, we ain't getting a whole lot of love on the chat here, so I'm about to cut it short. We're going to be off in about 10 minutes. So anybody got questions, go ahead and ask them now. I'll be doing questions for about 5-10 minutes. What's wife material to men? Wife material to each man is going to be different. It's depending on what type of person you want. So if you want somebody who's really traditional, then you got to think, what is a traditional woman? Go look at every single thing you want in a man, right? Write down a list of everything you want in a man. And not just what they look like and how tall they are and all that stuff. No, I'm not talking about that. Write down personality traits. Things that you are going to have to live with. Do you want somebody who's going to be faithful to you? Or does it matter? You're like, hey, if you want to smash other girls, I'm cool with it. Do you want somebody who's going to pay most of the bills, all of the bills, some of the bills, or none of the bills? Do you want somebody who y'all going to split cooking duties with, and then you split rent with them? Do you want somebody who, in everything else, they ain't mowing the grass, you ain't doing all the cooking, they ain't mowing the grass all the time. Y'all alternating. You're not doing all the cleaning, they're not the only one cleaning out the gutters. You got to ask yourself, because the only way you're going to get it the other way, the only way you're going to be able to get a situation where you just do whatever you want to and the man does whatever you tell him to, is if you date somebody lower than you. Which you can do that also. But you got to ask yourself, hey, what's my bare minimum? So when you talk about being wife material, it's what type of man do you want? And that's going to decide what's wife material. If you want somebody that's super religious, that's going to be like, conservative, button down, not going to do anything that's going to possibly make you feel some type of way, then you got to be that. Otherwise, they're probably not going to want to date you. Just to keep it real. Or if they do, they're probably not going to take you as seriously. So you got to ask yourself, what type of person do I want to be with? What's my ideal man? If you want a guy who's out here partying in the club all night, having a good time, and that's what you want to do, then you got to be on that, and you can't be the jealous type. You can't be out here like, don't be dancing with that girl. If you're a party type of person, then you got to accept the fact that you want to try to get with somebody who's a party type of person. So, it's all about what you want. That decides what's wife material. That's just like saying, what's the qualification to get a job? Depends on what the job is. The qualifications for McDonald's, fried cook at McDonald's, and the qualifications for head of oncology at a prestigious hospital is going to be totally different. So you just got to decide, what you want, what type of person you want to be with. All right, that's it. All right. Thank y'all for coming out. A lot of y'all didn't show no love to the chat, but I'm not gonna hold that against you. It's your man Chaz Us. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you want to know when some of these lives are coming out if you've been missing them. Peace.